Minnesota has relented and begun cooperating with ICE, sending the state patrol and local police to disperse agitators and protect their operations. Homan has been sent in to conduct negotiations with Walz, Frey, and other horrible leaders in order to force them to honor immigration detainers. Trump unequivocally won this exchange. And leftist freaks are in shambles. Ilhan Omar is doing Jussie Smollett stuff. Protesters are storming Walz's office. This is a disaster for them. And if you listen to much of the online right, unfortunately, they're certain that Trump has betrayed us. We've lost. Gavin Newsom is already president. We're all being put into camps, and our kidneys will be sold to buy missiles for Israel. But this is not so. The border is totally closed. After the one big, beautiful bill, ICE is nearly at full strength. Mass deportations are finally happening. H-1Bs have been halved via bureaucratic scrutiny. The foreign student population is plummeting. And now the first sanctuary state has been brought to heel. Where do things go from here? Hello, and welcome to Contramundum.
The American Revolution, in other words, is never finished. It must always be renewed.
Greater love than this hath no man, than that he lay down his life for his friend.
What if it's not envy?
We must take back our cities, and take back our culture, and take back our country. God bless you, and God bless America.
I told you. We're coming. Oh, he messed it up. Also, the Zoom's probably out.
All right, welcome to the show.
It's still not. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay.
It's on. It's on. We have no Gary
new
here.
Content.
This is it right here. No Gary today.
No Gary.
As always.
Gary has been executed, and he'll be back, though.
He'll be back. Yeah.
For the new show.
So, yeah, welcome. It's a great day. I'm Andrew Isker, and this is CJ Engel, and we're happy that you can join us. This is an auspicious day. Yes, Patriots are in control. How does this make you feel?
I doubted over the weekend.
Of course you did. I was going to say we all did, but it's not true.
You didn't. You didn't doubt.
White monsters for everybody. Let's go. What a great day. We're back. We're so back.
Did you see that Jacob Frey said today that he's not going to cooperate with federal agents?
Yeah. I'm not going to cooperate, guys. I'm not gonna, like all this stuff. Like, because and even like the same people that like we're certain Trump betrayed us. He fired Greg Bavino. Bavino.
Yeah.
You would know
Bavino.
because this is your countryman.
So
right.
is Bongino, and don't get confused.
Bongino. Oh yeah. Bongino, Bavino, spaghetti. Anyway, we've got it's great. But they like the same people who are all like, oh, Trump betrayed us. Like they're posting Jacob Frey. We're not gonna comply with federal agents. And it's like, so it's all safe-saving stuff.
There were left-wing activists now protesting at Walz's office, right? You're getting distracted again.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the chat. Yes, there were. Yes, there were. Was Will Stancil among them? I don't know. Maybe. Somebody's got to do something. Yeah, they stormed Tim Walz's office.
All right. So what was the trigger? Was it the signal chats?
Yeah, I think so. I think, and I think there's probably like that's
a lot more.
That I was gonna say, like that's the thing. Like, I mean, we've talked about this before. That because you'll see people like, what's the Department of Justice doing where some random podcaster can like infiltrate the Antifa signal chat, and it's like
they're using him.
Yeah, exactly. He's a conduit for this. Like it's no different than the deputy director of the FBI, Mark Felt, going to Woodward and Bernstein and saying, hey, President Nixon had these guys break into the Watergate Hotel and we got all the goods on them. Like it's stuff that you can't release publicly, but you have to have a conduit to get it out
Yeah,
there
what
into
are
the
you-
public
what are you gonna do,
consciousness.
use MSNBC or something?
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, yeah, let's even Fox News. Yeah, let's go. Have what's the? I don't even know. I don't even know the Fox News guys anymore.
Hannity or something.
Yeah, Sean Hannity. We'll have him talk about it. Like, no, like you use podcasters for this stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll use us someday. Like,
Maybe.
CJ Engel, breaking news: Ilhan Omar is actually married to her brother.
So did you see that Ilhan? We have to talk about that. Omar, she was squirted with apple cider vinegar.
It was apple cider vinegar.
Wait, I don't know if that was a meme or not. But
No.
I'm pretty sure it was real.
No, the video of the guy, he's drinking like a Fiji water and fidgeting it around with this
No,
Fiji water. It's nice. It's
apple
nice
cider
water.
vinegar,
But he's
man.
drinking it though.
Trad mom's in control.
Apple, for real, apple cider vinegar is it's an elixir of health.
Yeah, and like what happens when it interacts with the Somalian is they melt.
Oh,
So
like
that
the
was-
Wicked Witch
that-
of the West.
yes, that was
Okay,
the-
that was the
that was the
intent.
angle,
So this is really violent. This assassination attempt on Ilhan.
But Trump doesn't believe it.
I don't believe it either.
Okay,
Yeah, dude.
I don't believe it either.
No, I mean, he's not even getting into like the internet sleuthing of like people going on his like Facebook, which he didn't take down.
This is Maha country.
This is my country.
Now I'm getting distracted.
The chat is too good, man. This is my country. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, like this guy like has two, either trans kids or of that, look,
Mhm.
and has all sorts of like left-wing content on his Facebook. And so it's like either he's just severely mentally ill, or
And
a leftist, or more likely probably both. Regular, like a leftist plant to do this. Like it seems pretty obvious this is a Jussie Smollett situation. And so I think they should throw the book at him. I think like I think this should be treated as an assassination attempt. He should spend life in prison. Like I'm merciful. Life in prison. That's what he should, this guy, rest of his years behind bars. And he'll probably say that he's a woman and want to live in a women's prison. So anyway, it's like they're going nuts. Like the biggest tell of all of this is that first night when everyone's freaking out and like Greg Bavino is fired. And I initially am like, oh, this is not good. He's firing Greg Bavino. And then it was like, someone pointed out to me, the guy that's spreading this is like this, Groyper black pill account. And so don't buy it.
so he wasn't fired,
No, he was just reassigned to California.
but he wasn't even reassigned by Trump or Noam, right? He was like a lower level guy.
And then Trump is like, no, we're well, that's like the face saving thing, because like Nick Sotor or however you say his name is the one that like broke that Bavino is being fired. And it's like, no, if anything, it was a feint. And if anything too, it's like, all right, fine, we'll give you a concession. We'll get Bavino out of there, but you gotta send in your police to protect ICE. That'll be, and it's like, what did you do? You send Border Patrol, which
Why
Border
is
Patrol,
Bovino that scary to them?
because
He's just a functionary.
because his guys killed their protesters and they're not going to go to jail for it. Like that's why he's scary to them. Like they're willing to use violence and they have no qualms about it, right? Because it was the first
Homan,
one.
like Tom Homan better be ready to use violence.
Oh yeah, and of course he's going to be. But I think they said like either like this is going to keep happening unless you send the state patrol and local PD to deal with these protesters. Right? It's going to be Border Patrol. These guys are not going to put up with anything. Like you mess with them, they're going to use force on your agitators. So we're going to go all the way with this. So either you do this or we just keep going. Like they had all the leverage. Walz, Frey, all those guys had none. And like the thing that happened, I believe it was Sunday, the Minnesota Hammer and Sickle, the Star Tribune, had like a full page ad from like 100 big businesses in Minnesota, like begging Walz and Trump to bring order back and peace, and they used all sorts of HR language and everything. But it was a clear signal to Walz, right? Trump doesn't care what like 3M and Target think of him at all. But Walz knows. And so like the Minnesota business community saying, hey, we want this to stop is only going to go in one direction. So there's pressure there. But I think also they've got the goods on, the Lieutenant Governor Flanagan, coordinating all of the anti-ICE, Antifa activity. Like that I think is the biggest piece of leverage that they had is like your people are going to go to prison, or if they don't go to prison, they're going to be dragged through a very lengthy criminal process for all of it. And the other like blackpilling, like, oh, the Pam Bondi is an idiot. The department, Trump's betrayed us, is with the arrests of the people at the church, like Don Lemon and things like that. It's like, oh, these judges won't sign the arrest warrant, and so the FBI withdrew, or the DOJ withdrew them, and nobody's gonna face any consequences for the church thing at all. And it's like, no, that is not what happened, right? They asked for an arrest warrant to be able to bypass having to go before a grand jury, which you can do apparently in issues of like public safety. Like you have to demonstrate that this person is like a clear and present danger.
So they're going to pursue a grand jury still.
They're going to arraign these people by grand jury, all of them,
instead of the way that they wanted to.
Instead of having a judge just charge them with the crime. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a plan B. Or they probably expected it.
It's actually like plan A. But if you don't have to have a grand jury,
they tried to go through that route on paper.
The easier way. Yeah. And then so like that's what it is. It's not like, oh, they just gave up. They don't care. I mean, I admit though, like, yeah, if it had been like a synagogue or something,
because Lemon was
they would have granted that
because
Lemon
was coordinating beforehand.
Oh yeah, and like the things that he's saying too about calling them white supremacists, saying they should feel uncomfortable, all of that kind of stuff. Like he's there on the grounds and participating in it. It's like, oh, a journalist documenting it. No, like he's part of it, and in any criminal proceeding, like you'd be able to get evidence, like get phone records, what their text messages said, things like that. Even if they use Signal and it auto deletes and everything. So I still think he's going to go to prison.
You think Don Lemon's going to prison?
I think so. I mean, well, the caveat there is where is the trial? Where is the grand jury?
The people don't know that we doubled our bet on Omar.
On Ilhan? Like you're still, what was the double of the bet?
You don't even remember?
Oh,
it's in writing.
I didn't sign anything.
It's on Signal.
It's just a Guerrilla American mistook her, Ilhan, for a smoked brisket. He had to spritz her with the apple cider vinegar.
$200 is where it is now.
For what now?
That Omar is going to be deported or be pressured to leave by the end of the year.
The end of the year. I don't know. Like there was somebody in that Signal
back out.
There was somebody in that Signal chat that's like, I need to leave to Cuba right now. We've been had. Yeah. They've never had to like use OPSEC in their entire lives.
No.
And it's hilarious. So yeah, this is unequivocal wins all the way around. Like I'm having a hard time seeing what any kind of like the other thing that people are like, oh, Trump said we're only going to go after criminal aliens and the worst of the worst.
Yeah, talk about that.
And it's like we've been doing this for 10 years, man. Like the whole Trump thing. And this is what he constantly does is, the squishy normie, people, they're like, oh, I don't know. I think the communist unemployed nurse who was fighting with the cops was just a good boy that did nothing wrong. People like that, he is assuaging their guilty consciences, making them feel good. Oh, ISIS, only going after the worst of the worst, which, I mean, they are. Like, that's the main priority is like all the criminals, the pedophiles, the rapists, the murderers, the drug dealers, and some, I assume, are good people that also have to go back.
See how they edited his profile?
Oh, no, like
that meme, so they had
the Timberwolves, the Minnesota Timberwolves had a game. They did a moment of silence for him.
And
they used the fake one.
But they have the real him. They have the fake one that media is using.
Yeah.
And then there's the Netflix version, and he's African.
Yeah. The hilarious thing is like, all, you know, like all these women are sharing his photo, and it's the fake photo. Like all these women that wanted nothing to do with the real him, his whole life, and now in death, they don't even share his actual photo. They share a fake one. Where he has a normal looking face.
His family disavowed him. Did you see that?
Did they really?
Yeah, they said
I didn't see that.
He like left his job because he was getting too radicalized, and he was just into activism, and he wanted to be a political agitator.
Man, and wait, so they disavowed him, or they just
what was his name? Preddy or something?
I've already forgotten. It doesn't matter. Like just like the guy that burned himself alive,
Alex Preddy,
Aaron Bushing or something like that. I forget their names because
I hate when it's behind a paywall. Who's paying New York Times?
Behind a paywall, you gotta use the paywall jumper. Anyway, no, I just like these. Like the other thing about this guy is like he had a broken rib from a fight with the police a week before. So like the whole narrative of like, oh, he was a legal observer who was just documenting the unconstitutional civil liberties violations of these ICE officers and they executed him is complete 180 degree lie.
Yeah, that's literally been the leftist argument since the 60s.
Yeah.
It's always been like that. The entire superstructure of the way we understand protesting is a lie.
Like Rosa Parks was just getting on a bus, man. No, like she was an activist that had trained to do that.
Another book we should review is the Days of Rage book.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Because that's relevant today. Because
it absolutely is.
Our conception of protesting and mass gathering to protest against the government,
we're just peacefully marching.
It's built on a construct that had no basis in reality.
No, it's not.
It was always violent.
Always.
In fact, the violence we saw in the 70s was worse than right now.
Significantly worse. The number of bombings and assassinations and murders and everything. Like people have no idea. Like it's just erased from public consciousness that the left was violent.
This is why if you talk to so Paul Gottfried in the conservative movement, they're always like, there's two sides of the civil rights movement. There was a couple violent, moments, but overall it was this peaceful thing. And Paul Gottfried's like, when we were writing for National Review in the 50s and 60s, there was no element to our understanding of the events that were peaceful. Yeah. We were all addressing violence. And there's this mass psychosis in the 90s and 2000s where everybody remembers is it peaceful, but it's all based on television.
Well, it's based on TV. And a lot of it is like the mythology and the mythos surrounding Martin Luther King, because his rhetoric was that way. It was peaceful, right? It's like, oh, we're nonviolently protesting. I am following in the footsteps of Gandhi, and we're doing this non-violently. And it's like, yeah, that's like his purpose was to serve as the camel's nose under the tent, to serve as the poor innocent victims, as the like spearhead to the violent raging hordes behind him. Yeah. And like there's the famous political cartoon of, from the 60s in like I think it was a Southern newspaper, like where a city is burning down behind him. And we're going to have another peaceful march tomorrow. It's like, wow, the more things change, the more they stay the same. But like that, even like the Kent State thing that became big after the shooting, people talking about that. And like, that is also another myth that people are totally unfamiliar with. They, in their mind, these flower children were just walking up to National Guardsmen, putting flowers inside the barrels of their guns, and they all got blown away. And it's like, no, they had burned down the ROTC office. They had occupied buildings on the campus. All fake. And they were throwing rocks at the troops.
It was the same thing during BLM in the 2020s. And the entire we laugh now because we're like, oh, it's mostly peaceful. But like what was happening during that time is for the first time in history, they couldn't control the narrative.
That's right.
They had
Yeah.
no control over the frame.
You couldn't have Walter Cronkite go on TV and say, "No, guys, this is all peaceful. There's nothing to be afraid of. Like this is, it's actually the federal government or the local state governments that are cracking down on them that are the violent ones." And that's the narrative they try to spin with this, is that the only reason there's violence is because of ICE. But then you look at the details. Every other place ICE is operating in the country right now, no violence at all. Only in the place where there's $20 billion of Somali fraud.
Yeah.
Weird how the leftist cells get activated there, of all places. And it's entirely because the police are, and the local authorities are given over to anarcho tyranny, where it's like, okay, crime is legal for you. You get to do all the disruption, all of the rioting, all the obstruction of justice, all as much as you want, and we're not going to stop you. Like, that's why this has happened. That's why Renee Good can get a message from the ICE chat, which the local authorities have been cooperating with them. Like, they have access to the license plate ID system, where it's like you're in the panopticon and they scan your licenses everywhere you go, and they'd be like, they enter in all the ICE plates that they know of, and they have access to the rental car databases, everything. It's like, oh, they're on this street over here. All right, you're closest, you block them. Like, that's what she was doing.
Yeah.
Like, it was coordinated. It was all a setup, all of it. And they don't, like, if it was just the big three media channels, if it was just the TV news that presented the public with information today, we would have no idea. It would just be a handful of people on the fringes talking about this stuff, rather than half the country is like, oh, these are communists who want to destroy our country, and they're operating in coordinated cells. Right? Interesting. Well, that's what they were doing in the 60s. Right? All the anti-war stuff, all the civil rights stuff, all of it was the exact same playbook by the exact same kinds of people.
And they got crushed. And so they had to come up with a new strategy, and now we're here again. And they
got crushed, but they took power regardless. Like, they marched through the institutions. Like, all of the weathermen.
They did, like, not in the way that they originally planned to do.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. But they ended up winning because they took the slower approach and marched through the institutions. Like, the fact that Bernadine Dorn, where was she a professor at? Like Northwestern or somewhere else? They all got sinecures, right? They all got cushy jobs to then bring about the new generation of left-wing radicals. Like, Bill Ayers was the mentor of Barack Obama. Like, we're living in light of those people. And so the same people, the Alex Preddies and the Renee Goods and all of the communist freaks that you've never heard of that were in Minnesota, right? They're the people in the NGOs, staffing all of these NGOs, right? They're going to go get a professorship at the University of Minnesota or whatever other university, and they're going to be instructing the next generation of radicals, right? That's how this process works. So
cool.
Anyway,
let's shift gears.
Okay.
Because we have 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Before we shift gears, we should talk about Contramundum.
What do you want to talk about?
Exciting things.
Yes.
We are changing the format and structure and content output of the show.
Is there going to be less content? Is that what you're
There's going to
saying?
be more content.
Okay.
But so like just to be frank, we want to up the quality. We've been doing this for what, 4 years? 3 years?
Since 2023, beginning of 2023.
Yeah.
So we're in our third year.
Yeah. So
of doing this. Yeah.
A lot of this comes down to our personalities and our dynamics and the way that
what we're good at and not good
the way
at.
that we present and conversate. So we've kind of shifted this to a live show, but we're going to back off from the flagship show being live, and we're going to shift to a twice per month pre-recorded show, about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, but high quality, pre-recorded, pre-produced, and
They're not going to hear you
Published.
tapping your microphone.
They're not going to hear this. They're not going to do this. Well, maybe they will. And it's going to be released at midnight on Mondays. Or Sunday to Monday.
Tentatively.
Sunday
Yeah,
to Monday. That's
we'll
kinda
let
what
you,
we're
we'll
aiming
let you know exactly.
So that's that. The appeal to heaven will probably be like that's another layer to this is we want to allow ourselves to do the appeal to heaven, to do it right and to get it done. So now that those recordings are underway and being produced, we want to allow ourselves time to write the next tranche of those. So appeal to heaven and then the twice per month. I'm going to be shifting gears to an interview style format with others, and that'll be kind of my own thing.
Yeah, we're going to have interviews now.
I'm going to do that directly with an interviewee without Andrew. It's going to be my own thing, but it's going to be under the Contramundum umbrella.
PJ's interview hour.
It'll be on the feed. It'll be on YouTube, but it's just going to be me and a guest, and I'm going to do deep dive stuff that's probably more reflective of the way I produce content.
And we're going to have, I mean, once we switch over to this, we're going to continue to have live streams on Fridays.
And that'll just be you.
It'll be me. CJ will join intermittently, and
Once a quarter.
various other guests. Yes, once a year, maybe. Who knows? And yeah, that's the plan here going forward. So that'll be in the next couple of weeks that we switch over to different format with the ability to spread our wings and fly and be good at multiple things.
So the point is, we're still having a live show, but it's kind of going to be Andrew's baby. It's going to be on Fridays, and it'll be more exciting than it is now.
Yeah.
And the interviews are going to be.
Well, this is a good question. Is it going to be similar to when you were doing interviews on Chronicles, CJ?
Yes.
Very similar to that. Yeah.
Just deep dive stuff.
Yeah. I listened to those when I was trying to fall asleep. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
There you go.
No, those are always really, really good. And I'm looking forward to
my first guest will be Timon Klein, and we're going to talk about his Protestant Machiavellian piece for American Reform. So fall asleep to that.
Don't worry, I won't. I was joking. This is sensitive. Way too sensitive.
I'm like embracing it.
No.
I'm not sensitive, man.
This is the most excited you've been in a long time. You're high energy today. Yeah, man.
Today.
Did you haven't even it's just
but I held it. I held it for like 30 seconds and I'm amped.
The power. See, this is all we've needed the entire time.
Anyways, live shows are done.
No, they're
So
just
live
getting
shows
going.
Friday. It'll be good.
Yeah, we'll just get them going.
This is gonna, well, I mean, quality kind of is going to be the theme here, and then we've got some other stuff planned.
Yeah, we want to ramp things up into this year. And
the appeal to heaven is just kind of a non-negotiable. We have to get those.
Yeah,
done.
we want to get it to where we want it to be, and we've kind of been, it's like the writer where he's at a typewriter, hammering out stuff, and there's like 1,000 pieces of crumpled up paper on the floor behind him. Like that's kind of how it's been for us, and it's like we just gotta do it. And
but the new format will allow us to get into rhythm. So
yeah, exactly. Because that's the hardest thing. It's like if you're doing something completely by yourself, you can kind of just do it. But when we're collaborating and both of us are doing it together, and you've got to be able to we got to find time to do it, and we haven't been able to, have the time to make it possible.
This is better.
So this will be way better. Yeah,
this is good.
So I'm excited.
The content output is going to be the same because if we have
it'll be more.
If we have the flagship show every Monday, the interviews are going to drop every other Wednesday, and then the appeal to heavens will be out, and then we'll have the live show still with Andrew.
Yeah, so we'll have
with recurring guests.
Yeah, we will have 2 or 3 hours a week every week. So that's kind of where we're at into the future. Instead of like 1.5 hours a week, it's 2 or 3.
Beating the bush.
Yeah, it's like we understand that there's still a need to like discuss what's going on, what's the current thing, and like navigate that stuff. Like people enjoy that, and they enjoy just the hangout time of a live stream. but we gotta do more.
Yeah.
And we can do more, and we're gonna do more. So
Yep.
This is a good question. We're gonna get dragged back into the into the discussion. If all the protests were so peaceful,
Thanks, Dad.
why did all the open carry laws start popping up then? That's a good question. Exactly. They were not peaceful. When will these changes, should these changes happen?
Next Wednesday will be our last live.
Yeah. So after next Wednesday, then we'll switch to the new format. So, all right, on to the next segment.
Should we do an ad run and then
Then we'll move on to the next segment.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna take a break. CJ, I'm gonna miss Andrew. Gonna miss Andrew trying to get CJ to have a beer. Correct. Don't worry, that's still gonna happen, especially when it warms up this summer. All right, we'll be back in just a minute.
This is Dave. Dave is dead. When he wasn't, he was a successful businessman with a rather large estate. This is Ben. As Dave's son, Ben has just inherited a logistical nightmare. Dave wasn't exactly organized with his estate. Sorting through folders, receipts, and records, a hunting lodge in Montana, a 401k, lots of investments, several bank accounts, and of course, taxes. Ben was overwhelmed. Enter Joe Garcia, Backwards Planning Financial. When Ben called Joe and explained everything, Joe replied,
No problem. That's easy.
and somehow it was. With Joe's guidance, Ben was able to put a robust financial plan in place which helped mitigate risk and bring order to the chaos, while building wealth, organizing his estate, easing the tax burdens, and cutting unnecessary costs. He helped Ben do something Dave never did: plan ahead. Starting at the end and working backwards, Ben now has a plan for his own family. Now his kids won't go through what he did when he eventually... Backwards Planning Financial. Start planning for your death before you're gone.
Okay, CJ has some breaking news. Hold on. Let's
this
play
is
some
more your
music
thing.
for it.
This is your thing.
Here, read it.
The FBI has executed a search warrant at Fulton County, Georgia election office in connection with the 2020 elections.
Let's go.
Why don't you talk
Yes.
about that?
Uh,
That's your thing,
yeah,
man.
YouTube's gonna nuke us on
That's your thing.
on playing
That's
music.
crazy. FBI has raided the what is it? What did they raid?
No, we've had where's Bright of the Leash 15. We've had Pete on before and Stormy on several times. So the answer to that is yes. We'll continue to have our friends on. And yeah,
So is
Paul,
it happening?
the other question. Oh, hold
Paul,
on. We got more
Paul.
questions. Paul, are you going to interview Paul for your interview
Yes.
show? What's the mic status? Are you going to have to drive up to Pennsylvania
Yeah, probably.
to interview him? Okay. Sweet. Well, if you
Do
go,
people
then,
know the story?
then I'm going to have
Didn't
to.
you help me coordinate that?
Yes, I
Yes.
did. So no, I have a friend that lives like 45 minutes away from Paul,
We paid him.
and Paul needed the mic. The mic had to happen, and I call up my buddy who also was somewhat connected to Chronicles, and I was like, hey, can you bring this mic to Paul's house? And it was this massive imposition on a friend of mine, like, hey, just do this, like this is kind of the job and like stuff to do. And he's like, okay, fine. And then like Paul's wife wouldn't let my friend, and I was like, we don't know, we're not having a stranger coming to our
That was
house.
the first layer. If she didn't trust an internet person to come
Yeah,
to the
this is
house.
an internet person. What? And I'm sure Paul's like, no, it's fine. These
Paul's
are
a really
yeah,
trusting guy.
yeah, it's fine.
Uh,
It's like, no.
we finally got over that hurdle.
Yeah.
So he installed, we brought a new mic and a new camera, and he installed it. He made everything set up. He
Set it all up and yeah, walked him through it. Yeah.
Everything was good. It was finally like, this is a big historic moment, right? Because Paul is
Finally.
legendary for having.
Yeah, because
the
he's
worst
been
mic
on,
in the
like
world.
for like a decade,
Yeah.
been on like Tom Woods' show, and the microphone sounds like this the whole time. And
and you can see his like just the like eyebrows up.
yeah, the camera is like right here. I mean, it looks
And-
like
and
somebody
so it
talking
gets it
into a
all set up.
2006 cell
I mean,
phone.
this was a big moment. We finally did it.
Yeah.
Day one. Paul's like, yeah, I don't need it.
It's not working.
He's like the
I
next
don't need it.
day. No, it wasn't. He's like, I don't think I need it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just spent $500 and coordinated.
All of this. Yeah. I don't need it.
It's
Yeah.
kind of base though.
Oh no, it totally
But
is.
he's like, I know my value. They're still gonna interview me.
It's true, but like he needs like just a production assistant, like just somebody to press the buttons for him and make it go, and he'd be able to put out so much more stuff.
But
anyway,
it's pretty funny.
Anyway,
Paul. All right, let's shift gears.
the live show isn't going to be just Ron Dotson. No, it's not just going to be Ron, although Ron will certainly join when he can. No, it'll be lots of
People more
fun,
exciting than me. I just
fun
like, half
guests.
the time I'm checked out, so it's like
Yeah, exactly.
you guys can complain, but you'll enjoy. You'll like.
Here we go. We got people. So coping pulls out and we're winning. Like he hasn't fact check. False. No, there has been ICE has not pulled out at all. Like people just want to, like the psychosis here is fascinating because people want to, they want to be right, and their prior commitment is that we're always going to lose.
Mhm.
And so you have this compulsion to always be right, and you will look at an unequivocal win as like, oh, we actually lost.
Mhm.
Right? The Minneapolis police, clubbing protesters in the head. That's actually us losing. Like, give me a break. No, we won in Minnesota, and we're going to win in California next.
What? Why?
And that's where the powder staying dry and the Insurrection Act matters the most, is because it's going to be used there.
California, yes.
Yeah.
Why do people think it's bad that local PD is stepping in?
Because they are believing
Because they want acceleration.
that either that. That they want. Well, no, why did you just use the Insurrection Act and send Delta Force in to Summit Avenue to take Tim Walz and use hypersonic weapons and the beam on all the protesters? Like, why did they do that? And it's like and like the thing is, I mean, it's the same thing with like the judges, right? And I've made this point ad nauseum. Like, if Donald Trump went and sent the U.S. Marshals to arrest Judge Boasberg or any of these other clowns with Star Wars names, let's do some game theory and see how this happens. Right? What's going to happen? Articles of impeachment will be filed the very next day. The House will vote on it within 48 hours, and the Senate will have a trial that'll last 12 hours. And he will be out of office by the end of the week. And then they'll do the same thing to J.D. Vance. And then you will have President Mike Johnson. How's that sound? Does that sound like a great idea?
Their response is,
well, then he should use the military to overthrow the government. And it's like, dog, have you looked at our military? Like, Pete has done a good stuff with it, but like, come on.
But also, if you're gonna go that route, why do it when you don't have to?
Exactly. Yeah.
Why do it when you don't have to?
Yeah. This is like demanding Caesar march on Rome before the Senate gives its ultimatum.
Yes, correct.
Right. It's like, no, you don't cross the Rubicon until you have no other choice.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's the point. Like, that's the point of Rubicon crossing, is you don't do it unless there are zero other options.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes,
people want to think in like binaries, where it's like, either we have the big giant Marvel villain battle, or we're losing and we're giving in, and Trump is weak. He's controlled by Israel. Like, I mean, come on. Like, this is just as childish as like leftoids in how they think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just as simplistic, and and sophomoric. Like there are more options than just two things. And like this is exactly the right thing to do. Right? This isn't just like, oh, I really like Donald Trump. He's so awesome. It's like, no, I have been very critical of Trump when he's wrong, but he's not wrong. Like that's the other thing too, is like, it's just like lefties, right? They think he's stupid. Like you like if you went to Minneapolis to one of these, and walked up to any one of these, disgusting freaks, and I paid you a lot of money to have to talk to one of these people, and you asked any of them, right? Do you think that you're smarter than Donald Trump? Every single one of them would say yes. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them thinks he has an IQ of 70, right? They all do. They all think that. And it's like, I don't know, maybe he's smarter than you. Maybe just maybe smarter than me. Maybe just maybe, I didn't, become a billionaire, become a TV, superstar and WWE Hall of Famer and president of the United States. Like I haven't done those things. I'm just not as good as I think I am. So anyway, like right, that's what I think is going.
We gotta shift gears.
All right. Back to the book.
Scheduled.
We gotta finish the book.
How
much time do we got?
We have half an hour.
We have half an hour. Okay. All right. This part's great. I love this part of the book.
So he deconstructed all the things we thought Christianity was.
He's been against Christianity, which in his, again, back to the point of the whole book, is Christianity is basically like post-war consensus.
Post-enlightenment.
But even more refined after the second half of the 20th century into all of these isms and all these petty moralities and so forth. So this is now, all right, we're against all these things. Where are we for? And the chapter is entitled For Constantine. For Constantine. Let's go.
So much hype.
Part 1. The mission of the church can be described as a double movement. On the one hand, the church is called to withdraw from the world, to be a counterculture, a separate city within the world cities, challenging and clashing with the world by unapologetically speaking her own language, telling her own stories, enacting her own rights, practicing her own way of life. Though she shares considerable cultural space with the world, the church is not an institution in the world alongside other institutions. She is an alternative world unto herself, with her roots in heaven, formed by being drawn into the community of Father, Son, and Spirit. The church is not, however, simply a counterculture. She has been given the subversive mission of converting whatever culture she finds herself in. She works to the end, and notice that's very particularist framing.
Yeah, it is.
She works to the end that her language, her rights, and her way of life might be formative for an entire society. She withdraws from the world for the sake of the world. Having been drawn into the communion of the triune God, she participates also in the mission of the triune God. Christianity cannot carry out this mission because Christianity proposes only ideas. It does not form a world or a city. Christianity offers the church only as a new sort of religious association, not as a new eschatological ordering of human life. So long as Christianity reigns, the church cannot really be separate. And so long as Christianity reigns, the church can never convert anything. Unless we renounce Christianity, we will have no Christendom. 2. It's really good. 2. But do we want Christendom? The fact is, Christendom happened. The question is, was it a big mistake? What do you say, CJ?
I say it was not a mistake. Do you think that most people, they actually just don't like Christendom?
Yeah.
Like today, the leaders?
What, like of
like
the church?
Owen and
John
Piper
they're
and
disgusted by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're embarrassed by it. They're ashamed of it. Absolutely, they are.
James White.
Yeah. Oh, you just look at it like the seeds were bad. They were bad. They were sacrilege. Like that's idiotic. And so yes, If you're Christian, you should want Christendom.
Mhm.
3, some theologians, Stanley Hauerwas, John Howard Yoder, Barry Harvey, and others, have argued that being against Christianity entails being against Christendom, and especially against Constantine. Constantine's conversion and the consequent Christianization of the Roman Empire, it is argued, produced the privatized, spiritualized, intellectualized, depoliticized form of religion that I have been calling Christianity. If we hope to restore the church's sense of herself as a separate holy culture, a distinct civic reality, we must renounce the project of Christendom. 4, on the contrary, opposition to Christendom arises from adherence to Christianity. Those who are hostile to Christendom are still, oh no, technology. Those who are still hostile to Christendom are still in the grip of modernity. Oh, that's so true.
So true.
I'm going to say it again. Those who are hostile to Christendom are still in the grip of modernity. Renouncing Christianity thus entails embracing Christendom. 5, the issue here is not whether the specific shape that Christian civilization took during the Middle Ages is altogether defensible. Everyone agrees that this civilization produced its share of evils and injustices, which are all the more evil for having been done in the name of Christ. Everyone agrees that this civilization embodied the gospel very imperfectly. If Christendom was imperfect, so naturally were Constantine, Charlemagne, and all the other founders of Christendom. And one imperfection, to be sure, was a tendency to reduce the gospel and church to Christianity. Nor is this a question of whether or not the West continues to be Christendom. The modern West is not Christendom in any meaningful sense, and Christians need to learn how to function as the church without the artificial support of Christian political and cultural systems. Oops. 1 second. I need to look at that footnote. T.S. Eliot's claim, the West remains Christian so long as it has not definitively become something else, was perhaps adequate when he wrote it, but he wrote it a long time ago. What do you before we move to the next paragraph, what do you think about that?
The modern West is not Christendom in any meaningful sense. Is that what he's saying? Is that what you're asking?
Yes. And so the statement, the modern West is not Christendom in any meaningful sense, and that Christians need to learn how to function as the church without the artificial support of Christian political and cultural systems.
It's weird that he calls it artificial support.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that verbiage.
Yeah, what if it's supposed to be the realistic support?
Yeah.
Like what if that's
the way it's supposed to be?
In order to craft a heavenly city, what if you actually need, the political apparatus to join you in that endeavor?
Like a Christian prince. What if that's what you need?
What if, yes, exactly. And
you need political authority that is Christian.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I would say. I don't think it's, this is where I'd pick some nits.
So this is interesting. The word artificial is actually interesting.
And actually this is,
it relates to earlier discussions that we had about social constructs.
This is an interview you should do
with Peter.
Yes. And like ask him about like things like this. Because this gets, so Peter's not a natural law guy. No, he's not.
But a natural law view of this would be that these things like the political infrastructure that could support Christianity, that is it's derived from the human's ability to create systems that they need to function well. Mm-hmm. And so when you say artificial support, I think it takes away from our job as human beings to bless the earth in this way, to arrange societies, to develop cultures. Mm-hmm. They're not artificial support. It's actually man's duty to create the infrastructure required for a robust religion.
I think if you took the modifier artificial away, and you said without the support of Christian political and cultural systems, that would be better. I still don't know if I agree with it. Because I look at and so some of this, and maybe this is where Dr. Lightheart and I would disagree on this, but my view on the church and like all the problems that we have, all the serious problems that we have are not going to be solved without a Constantine, right? So like the issue, for instance, that the institutions are they're either completely apostate like mainlines, or they have one foot in apostasy like the conservative evangelical superstructure of institutions, seminaries, all of these things, all the leaders. And I don't know if you can have the institutions without the prince or the king or the executive authority saying, right, this here is going to be our church, right? And it isn't even necessarily an establishmentarian argument. I think you can have it even in a non-establishmentarian environment, because like whether you have a formal establishment of religion, it's going to exist informally. Like Stephen actually had a tweet about this today. It's locked, and you can only see it if you are privileged enough to be allowed to follow him. But that's just it, is that it naturally functions that way. It like the reason why our leaders are so hostile, like evangelical leaders are so hostile to not only pre-modern, but like pre-20th century conceptions of the political and cultural discussion at all, is because they are functionally apparatchiks of the regime. They support the regime. They're going to do whatever the regime says. And so until you have a different regime, one that is supportive of Christian political thought, you are going to have people that are toadies for the regime. And no matter what, you're going to have people that are going to be aligned with the regime.
So you're saying we need a regime change?
We need regime change in order to have institutional change within Christianity.
I agree.
Right. Whether it's establishmentarian or not,
and
is my point.
And that's exactly. That's Constantinian.
It is precisely. So let's continue on here. The issue rather is whether a Christian civilization that extends beyond the church is in itself a false path. Hauerwas clearly thinks that it is. His book, After Christendom, bears the subtitle, How the Church is to Behave if Freedom, Justice, and a Christian Nation Are Bad Ideas. And he denies that he harbors a desire for a Christian culture, or that he longs for a time when something called Christianity had hegemonic cultural and political power. What a loser. Rodney Clapp is much more straightforward. A Constantinianism is a theological and missiological. What a stupid word, missiological. Like anytime I hear or read somebody say missiological, I just hear fart sounds. Missiological mistake. That commentary was mine. It wasn't in liner.
Quote.
Peter didn't say fart sounds. The issue is whether the hope of forming Christian culture in the wider society is inherent to the church's mission, or a deviation from the church's mission. Should the Christian ecclesia want to remake the earthly city in her image? 6. Perhaps we are speaking past one another. Perhaps Clapp's Constantinianism is not my Christendom. When I use Christendom, I am referring to the civilization that grew up during the latter patristic and early medieval periods, and which continued in a very modified form until the modern era in the West. Whatever we wish to date that, Christendom, in this sense, is Constantinian because it assumes and rests upon the fact of Constantine's conversion and the adoption of the church as providing the official religion of the Roman Empire. When I refer to Constantine, I shall occasionally be referring to the historical person, the hero of the Battle of Milvian Bridge. More often, Constantine will be shorthand for Christian ruler and professedly Christian civil order. So if Stephen had titled the chapter of his book, The Constantine, instead of the Christian Prince, I think we could just avoided like 90% of the freakout. No way. Not even close. Not even close. Okay, 7.
He could have said the Christian president, and he still would have got.
Oh yeah, exactly. The Christian president, the Christian chief executive, they still would have.
What does the Constitution say?
Yeah,
Christian president.
Like every like reaction to Stephen is is like when Frodo shows the ring to Bilbo at Rivendell. Like, like every single one of them is like that. I just think of, and maybe it's in my head because like Owen Strand's like 4 feet tall and same size as Bilbo. Okay, 7. In the sense, I'm using the term Christendom happened. Rodney Stark, has pointed out the church functioned to renew life in ancient cities. Cities in the early Roman Empire were ethnically and religiously diverse. Greco-Roman cities required a constant and substantial stream of newcomers simply to maintain their populations. As a result, at any given moment, a very considerable proportion of the population consisted of recent newcomers. Greco-Roman cities were peopled by strangers. Given the immense cultural diversity of the empire, the waves of newcomers to Greco-Roman cities were of very diverse origins and therefore fractured the local culture into numerous ethnic fragments. What does that sound like? Sounds kind of familiar. But then again, you don't have like this imperial superstructure that like holds everything together. We have democracy, which it ain't gonna work. Right? You can have multiculturalism, or you can have a democratic republic. You can't have both. And so, which is the point of like talking about jury trials or anything else. Like you're going to break down into like the mayor of Minneapolis was voted into office because he had one block of Somalis versus Omar Fateh. Like that's what democracy and multiculturalism is.
Ethnic tribalism.
Yeah. And so anyway, but that's a tangent. As a result, cities were places where enormous strife, chaos, and crime were facts of life. Interesting. Multiculturalism brings strife, chaos, and crime. I'm sure that's not
That's not what his point is.
That's not his point. Like, Stark describes Antioch as a city filled with misery, danger, fear, despair, and hatred. A city where the average family lived a squalid life in filthy and cramped quarters, where at least half of the children died at birth or during infancy, and where most of the children who lived lost at least one parent before reaching maturity. A city filled with hatred and fear rooted in intense ethnic antagonisms and exacerbated by a constant stream of strangers. A city so lacking in they were able to leave their bikes out in the front yard in Antioch?
No.
Probably not. Yeah. A city so lacking in stable networks of attachments that petty incidents could prompt mob violence. A city where crime flourished and the streets were dangerous at night. And perhaps above all, a city repeatedly smashed by cataclysmic catastrophes, where a resident could literally expect to be homeless from time to time, providing that he or she was among the survivors. In such a setting, the Christian entered as a movement of urban renewal. Christianity revitalized life in Greco-Roman cities by providing new norms and new kinds of social relationships, able to cope with many urgent urban problems. To cities filled with the homeless and the impoverished, Christianity offered charity as well as hope. To cities filled with newcomers and strangers, Christianity offered an immediate basis for attachments. To cities filled with orphans and widows, Christianity provided a new and expanded sense of family. To cities torn by violent ethnic strife, Christianity offered a new basis for social solidarity. And to cities faced with epidemics, fires, and earthquakes, Christianity offered effective nursing services. By the Middle Ages, this urban renewal program had advanced considerably. Intellectual life was devoted to unraveling the mysteries of God's word and seeking to name the world, all the world, through the word. Rules and legal principles drawn from scripture were worked into the fabric of Western law. The rites of the church became the festivals of medieval cities. Corpus Christi is not a feast that Protestants celebrate, but it was a recognizably Christian feast and was a highlight of the year in many places during the late medieval period. Daily lives of Europeans were shaped by the rituals of the church, from the baptismal cradle, through confirmation in puberty, through marriage to last rites and the grave. The church imposed its discipline on warlords and kings, forcing the powers that be to conduct themselves more humanely, that is, in a more Christ-like fashion. During the medieval period, the culture of the church left its mark on the cultural life of Europe in more subtle but no less fundamental ways. George Steiner suggested in his Eliot lectures that the shared images of Western art and literature were inculcated by scripture and the liturgies of the church. Scriptural and, in a wider sense, religious literacy ran strong, particularly in Protestant lands. The authorized version in Luther's Bible carried in their wake a rich tradition of symbolic elusive, and syntactic awareness. Absorbed in childhood, the Book of Common Prayer, the Lutheran hymnal, and psalmody cannot have, but have marked a broad compass of mental life and their exact stylized articulateness and music of thought. Literature in the West arose from liturgy. Even today, in important ways, the modern world is a deviant byproduct, a genetic mutation of Christendom. Try to imagine the modern novel without the background of the Bible. So true.
This is really important because like Christians, so-called, and non-Christians alike, have this conception of a Christian nation where there's this like powerful tyrant and he has a gun to everyone's head and he's like, confess, right? Don't get distracted.
I'm sorry, this is a good quote.
Gosh,
this is a
every
good
time.
Basically, we're going to need a Lutheran Lee Kuan Yew.
That is funny.
That's good. That's good.
It is funny.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, like Singapore, you know, very multicultural. But like, in order to make that work,
would be a good interview on him. Do you know anyone that studied it?
Who's good on Lee Kuan Yew? Yeah, I can think of a couple guys. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, in order, if you want to do multiculturalism, you need to have a powerful executive.
Mm-hmm.
The only way you can do it. The only way. And even so, in Rome, like, you had powerful executives, but you still had ethnic conflict and strife. I mean, I think the problem with our ethnic conflict and strife is we could get along pretty well in America avoiding it if the powers that be were not extremely focused in their hatred of the current majority ethnic group in America. Right? If that didn't exist, I think we'd be fine, because this ethnic group, largely by and large, is shaped by the very thing that Leonard is describing here. That you have this peace and this level of tolerance and mutual respect and kindness and everything that's inculcated by the church and by the Christian faith. And whereas the other groups don't have that, or if they do, not nearly to the same extent, and their ethnic bigotries are weaponized. And that's why, like, you see guys like Tucker, for instance, say, like, I don't want to live in a world where people, care about race or ethnicity or things like that. And people are like, oh, why is he saying, why, like, he's soft or whatever. And it's like, no, that's like actually right.
Yeah.
We should be able to just all get along. But the only way that happens is if the people who rule us are not weaponizing the other groups against the majority group and inciting ethnic hatred.
Yeah.
Right. That's the reason why it exists. Not because, like, it's impossible. So anyway.
All right, let's keep going.
8. Yeah, because we've got like 15 minutes. Rodney Clapp argues that the Constantinian settlement demands that the Christian faith be privatized and individualized, and that the Constantinian church is by definition reactive and reflexive to the surrounding culture. It completely forgets the church's own culture forming and sustaining capabilities. It denies any real tension between the church and the world, and it aligns the church with power against those out of power. How is it that a church that exercises public authority, that advises kings and emperors, that sponsors the arts, science, and scholarship is accused of promoting a privatized, individualized faith? Clapp's assertions are counterintuitive. But are they wrong? Are they wrong? What do you think? Are they wrong? You got to reread it because you were...
I was busy.
Yeah, you were just typing away.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think, I mean, to a certain extent, he's sort of right. That the Constantinian settlement, like, allowed for the development of what Leithart calls Christianity, but not like ipso facto, not by the nature of it happening. It's a thing that happened, but it's not, axiomatic that it had to happen. Because you had a very public Christianity for, for almost 2,000 years.
I don't see how this is. I don't see this at all. Like Constantinianism did the opposite. It seemed like.
Yeah, I think so.
It was all publicly oriented. In fact, like even things like the liturgy, it was only much later a thing where it bound the conscience, and that's what caused the Reformation. But like Christendom itself was very public. It was all about the public order, and so I don't think it was privatized at all. In fact, it was when those things were called into question that it was all privatized.
Yeah, precisely. 9. Oliver O'Donovan has argued that Constantinian Christians were not attempting to promote the kingdom of Christ by worldly means. On the contrary, they believed that those who held power became subject to the rule of Christ. And this is precisely what the martyr church was aiming at with this witness unto death. This quote, this was the logical conclusion of their confidence in mission, the confirmation of what they had always predicted. The kings of the earth had come to bow before the throne of Christ, and the empire they had served had lost its most powerful agents. Christendom meant not the church's seizing alien power, but alien powers becoming attentive to the church. Invoking the martyrs without also invoking this hope is an insult to the memory of the martyrs. Exactly right. 100% right. That they're not like trying to suck up to power, because if they were, they had no need of dying. Right? What they are doing is dying so that the powers that be would submit. That's why. That's the point. 10. John Howard Yoder has described the effects of Constantine's conversion by pointing to the ecclesiological, eschatological, and metaphysical results of that conversion. By filling the church with nominal believers, Constantinianism encouraged a change in the meaning of the word Christian and in the understanding of the church. Earlier, a person who was a baptized person who had adopted the way of life demanded by Jesus, but after Constantine, the word could no longer be identified with baptism and church membership, since many who are Christian in that sense had not themselves chosen to follow God. The fact that many within the church did not meet the early Christian definition of Christian led to the idea of an invisible church. The class of true Christians continues to be a minority, but now the minority was a church within a church, rather than a minority within the Roman Empire. With the Constantinian settlement, the nature of mission changed. It no longer involved calling one's hearers to faith in Jesus Christ as Lord, but instead become identical with the expansion of Rome's sway. Church leaders assumed their role of chaplains to political powers, rather than acting as leaders of an alternative political power. Constantinianism encouraged a strongly realized eschatology, viewing the present Roman Empire as a historical embodiment of the kingdom of God. The concept of millennium was soon pulled back from the future, whether distant or imminent, into the present. Providence, at the same time, came to be understood as something empirically evident in the person of the Christian ruler of the world. Thus, the Roman state, and later the nation states of the early modern era, came to be seen as the carriers of history. History no longer centered on the noble people of God, but on kings, nobles, and potentates. Yoder summarizes the ecclesiological and eschatological results in a much-quoted formula. Before Constantine, one knew, as a fact of everyday experience, that there was a believing Christian community, but one had to take it on faith that God was governing history. After Constantine, one had to believe without seeing that there was a community of believers within a larger nominally Christian mass, but one knew for a fact that God was in control of history. As Yoder reads the early history of the church, the teachings of Jesus, especially the Sermon on the Mount, form the content of ethical instruction for every Christian, whatever their particular business in life. When Roman and Germanic civilizations were baptized, diverse callings came to be seen as natural features of economic and social life, and their ethical contours were seen as inherent in the calling itself. A Christian trader was no longer expected to follow Jesus' teachings. He was expected to conform to the natural laws of trade. A Christian ruler was not expected to use power in accord with Jesus' teaching. He was expected to exercise dominion just like any other ruler would. Only those who had specifically religious vocations, monks and priests, were expected to conform to Jesus' teachings. Thus, Constantinianism introduced a dualism into the church's life between religious and non-religious members. By granting some measure of autonomy to non-religious callings, Constantinianism opened up a window of opportunity for the introduction of secularism and simultaneously for Christianity. In this way, Constantinianism encouraged the development of a dualistic metaphysics. While Neoplatonism was the main philosophical source, philosophy alone cannot explain the dominance of dualistic modes of thought within the church. Naming its source does not explain its success. Rather, dualism triumphed because it cohered with the actual life and practices of the church, providing metaphysical grounding for Constantinian ecclesial and social life. The church we see is not the believing community, the visible-invisible duality of names, and thereby justifies the tension. The dominant ethic is different from the New Testament in content. Lordship is glorified rather than servanthood. As in source, reason and the orders of creation are normative rather than the particularity of Jesus's and the apostles' guidance. What could be easier than to reserve the ethics of love for the inward or personal life, while the ethics of power are for the outward world of structures? Interiorization and individualization, like the developments of the special worlds of cult and meditation, mediation, were not purely philosophical invasions which took over because they were intellectually convincing. They did so because they were functional. They explained and justified the growing distance from Jesus and his replacement by other authorities and another political vision other than that of the kingdom of God. For Yoder, as for Clapp, who draws on Yoder, Constantinianism produced Christianity.
I don't want to comment until I hear his response.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're just going to probably say the same thing. 11. Even if Yoder's historical claims are entirely justified, and many of them are, he has not proven that Christendom or Christian civilization as such was a mistake. He concedes as much in an illuminating meditation on the question, what if Constantine had been more faithful? One could say that Caesar would be just as free as anyone else to take risks in faith. In fact, in an authentically imperial society, Caesar would be perfectly free for a while to bring to bear upon the exercise of his office the ordinary meaning of Christian faith. It might happen that the result would be that his enemies would triumph over him, but that often happens to rulers anyway. It might happen that he would have to suffer or not stay in office all his life, but that too often happens to rulers anyway. And it is something that Christians are supposed to be ready for. It might have happened that he would be killed, but most Caesars were killed anyway. It might happen that some of his followers would have to suffer, but emperors and kings are accustomed to asking people to suffer for them, especially if the view were still authentically alive, which the earlier Christians undeniably had held to, and which the theologians of the age of Constantine were still repeating, that God blesses those who serve him. It might also have been possible that, together with all the risks just described, most of which a ruler accepts anyway, there could have been in some times and in some places the possibility that good could be done, that creative social alternatives could have been discovered, that problems could be solved, enemies loved, and justice fostered. Doesn't it sound so wonderful? If only he had been more faithful. Denying the possibility of such an outcome, Yoder suggests, is a sign of systematic pessimism that is incompatible with the rhetoric of Christian belief in providence. Yet this means that the evils of Constantinianism were historical accidents, not inevitable results of the conversion of the Roman Empire. Yoder does not see that the hypothetical faithful Constantine fundamentally challenges his case against Constantinianism. Well, Yoder, the Mennonite theologian, was an apologist for the idea of Christendom.
Well, one of the things that's interesting, I remember when I first read this chapter, it struck me as a little bit like maybe Constantine wasn't as bad as like Lightheart is kind of implying here.
He's not even implying that he's bad.
What if true Christendom hasn't been tried?
That's right.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's ceding a little bit too much to Yoder here.
Yes.
Because
what he's not taking into account is the the real politique of history.
Yeah, exactly.
Like history is messy and it's full of ethical blurry lines. And
bearing authority over anything, much less the Roman Empire or kingdom of any kind, is extremely messy.
It is
very difficult to govern, to wield authority.
Yeah.
You have a lot of difficult questions. You're constantly faced with no-win situations.
I'm gonna get more to this in like an interview with someone. But I'm really interested in like Ronka, who's like a German historian.
Mhm.
He has this idea that like history sort of is sanctioned by God. And so every particular age has particular dynamics that need to be leaned into, appreciated, because all of history is this unfolding of what God needs it to be. And so people like Constantine, as he really existed, did exactly what was necessary in order for the kingdom of God to expand on earth. And so I wouldn't give so much over to Yoder. I would allow for the messiness of history to shine through and for God to say, I used these agents for my purpose. And that was a good thing.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I mean, Lightheart should probably be truer to himself here, I would say.
Well, I think he is, and you'll see that in the subsequent parts here as he responds to Yoder. I don't think we're gonna have time to get to all of them today, but it is. I mean that is. I mean, Yoder is an Anabaptist.
Maybe we should start with 13 on the next one.
I think we will. Like Yoder is an Anabaptist, and they don't believe in political authority of any kind, period. And you can see that too, where and Lightheart starts to open this up, that there's this idea that the Sermon on the Mount is presenting an ethic that is universalist in every application, that it is not like the personal attitude of individual Christians and the duty of individual Christians, that it's also for kings, right? Kings should turn the other cheek. And it's like, that's preposterous, right? Or even just like fathers should turn the other cheek. Like you see your kid getting beaten by some random person, and you should tell your little 7-year-old son, just turn the other cheek while this grown man is beating you. Like, no, a father's duty would be to go, crack that guy in the skull.
They do believe it. I mean,
no, exactly.
Piper's view.
No, exactly. They do. They believe it all the way down, and it's like, no, yeah, like in the example of Piper, like a rapist is breaking into your house and threatening your wife, and what does he say? Oh, I would try to reason with him, or I'd try to share the gospel with him, and it's like, no, man, I'd shoot him. I would shoot him dead, and I would sleep well that night. I would have zero moral qualms about it. I would have zero anguish whatsoever. Am I a sociopath? No, I don't think so. I think I understand this is my duty.
There was a really good article in the American Conservative. Actually, the article wasn't that great, but there was a particular paragraph that was really good.
There's one sentence in that article that was otherwise horrible.
No, it's a really good point, because you know how I always emphasize like universalism versus particularism.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the messiness of history, and there's particular situations that require different, So he said the antithesis of realism is not universalism, but it's actually moralism. Everything can be reduced down to these like moral clarities. And I think that is a really helpful way of understanding this, is like, if you're a king and you have your people that you're thinking about, you have your dynamics with other kingdoms, and you have the economic, stakes at bay on your empire. Like, there's no simple blueprint Sermon on the Mount answer to these questions.
Yeah. Well, and you look at, like, I've done, some deep dives on the book of Kings, First and Second Kings, and if you read that in this like really simplistic way, it's like, oh well, this king did what was good in the sight of the Lord, except he didn't take away the high places. And you're looking at that, you're thinking like, why didn't he do it? This big dummy. Why didn't he take away the high places? What a terrible guy. Like, he's so awful. And you should read this, not in a way to excuse their inability to do it, but rather understanding that rulers, even kings, right, they have a mandate to rule.
Yeah.
And the degree to which a king is good is that he understands what he can and can't do with, vis-a-vis that mandate to rule.
Yes.
And so why didn't they take away the high places? Because they couldn't. because they couldn't. That's why, because they would lose their mandate to rule.
Mhm.
Now, maybe they should have anyway, right? Which is kind of the Yoder, the Yoder
Yeah,
thing here.
yeah.
Like, should have just done it anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe that you could be right there. But or maybe they were unfaithful in some other way that precluded them from exercising enough or be able to have enough capital with the people to take away the high places.
Mhm.
Right. There's all sorts of dynamics like that. But at the end of the day, it's like, why didn't they do it? Because they perceived that they could not.
Right.
And so maybe that means expending more capital in on the true worship of God in the temple. Maybe it means executing some priests. Actually, it probably did. Actually, like you need good priests. And the priests. I mean, why is Israel fallen to idolatry? Well, the priests are not doing their job. Why is the priest not doing their job? Because the king's not doing his job. Like, so all of these dynamics go into play there. It isn't just simply like we have this very 21st century American conception of monarchy and monarchical power, that this king just rules like a god and he can just do whatever he wants at any time. And it's so stupid.
Mhm.
It is so dumb.
It's also possible to correct it. You can't argue with anyone.
Like people they can't get it in their heads that no, king's power is limited. Like Joseph Stalin, the most powerful man who ever lived, had a finite amount of power.
Yeah.
Like there was a point at which he understood, I can do this, I can't do that.
Mhm.
Even he understood those things.
Yeah.
And so like that's the nature of political power, is it is never infinite. There's always a limit to what you can get away with, and you lose a mandate to rule.
Mhm.
So
All
anyway, that
does it.
I think that's all we got for today.
We're gonna finish the book next week.
Next week, we're gonna finish the book. Do you think anything's gonna happen this week? Anything interesting? Is Gavin Newsom going to be arrested by Delta Force?
He better, or it means Trump.
It means Trump betrayed us. No, I think operations in California have to start wrapping up now, because you want them to reach their zenith. I mean, like seasons don't really matter as much there, as you know, especially in Southern California. But like they've got to get rolling before, well before the midterms.
Yeah.
And the midterm campaign is underway.
I think the next thing that's going to happen is 2020 stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, because I mean, did you see the virus in India? Right, they switched from China to India this time. Like this, like 70% kill rate virus. That what do you know about it?
Nothing. It's just 40 to 60% death rate, and
it's like, well, I think we should probably shut off all immigration to India, completely quarantine that country for at least the next 5 years.
Oh man, the other thing that we didn't.
If
have
it
time
saves
for is
one
the
life,
EU,
CJ.
is the EU agreement with India.
Oh yeah. What? How much of that
Let's end
too?
on that. We gotta.
Yeah, I know we gotta end. But how much of that do you think is like they perceive that
It is.
they're
not going to be able to.
the
dump
gravy
them
train
here.
in
Yes.
America is getting
100%.
shut off,
100%.
and so they got to dump all their extra people somewhere.
Yes.
And it's
That's
like,
what it is.
all right,
And-
EU, here you go, and
Yeah,
Japan too.
And the EU needs to decouple from America. They're kind of so. Yeah, that's exactly, dude. It's. We need to
I
look.
mean, I hate that for them. I love Europe,
Western Europe.
but I love my country more.
I do too.
So it's terrible to be them.
It is
We
terrible.
actually have some viewers and listeners watching from like France and Germany and places like that, which is probably illegal for all we know. But and so I feel terrible for them. And although like a lot of the foreign migrant stuff in Europe is like really overblown, that it's not nearly as bad as like the black pill accounts, like that Radio Genoa account or whatever want to make you think.
The ratios there are worse, right? But the total quantity is worse here. Or maybe the ratio.
I think it's the
in
other way
big
around.
city. No, the ratio is in big
in the
cities are
cities is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cities is bad, but like overall in Europe, it's not anywhere.
like Texas or
Yeah, exactly. It's not.
it's
It's
like
not like
overwhelming
Texas.
numbers of people.
And so the other thing I should have added this to the opener that the electoral vote apportionment prediction is like a 20-point swing from like all these blue states to red states.
Oh, it's in the red favor.
Majorly.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like 8 or 9 going from one to the other.
Mm.
And then like 2 to like North Carolina, which is kind of a toss up.
But if they clear up the election,
With the
count
Fulton
rules.
County and all the, I mean, part of the stuff, like the reason they're going to Arizona along with California
well, they're hitting the swing states.
is, well, they're hitting the states where the, like, not just the financial fraud is, but the electoral fraud.
Yeah, it's true.
And they're using that as leverage as well. Like that's part of it in Minnesota is, hey, we'll send ICE away if you just give us all of your election data.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You just hand it right over. And that's part of it. Is like it should make you furious if you are a citizen of Minnesota that illegal aliens can vote in your state. And don't give me the like lib lie that, oh no, they can't. It's illegal. And it's like, no, a random person can vouch for 8 people and they give driver's licenses to illegals, right? Illegals can vote in Minnesota because they know they are never going to get caught, right? Why is the very first thing that Virginia does, is it Virginia or Pennsylvania?
Virginia,
that said, we're passing an executive order that ICE cannot operate within 40 yards or whatever of polling places. Why on earth would they be near polling places?
Yeah.
Why should illegals be within a mile of a polling place? Why?
Why should they be?
Why?
I gotta go.
Yeah, exactly. All right. All right. CJ's got to drink his monster, and we hope you all have an awesome rest of your week. We will see you next time. Stay peacefully dangerous. Bye.